describe briefly what the reenactors meant to this movie?
Well, there's no question in my mind that Gettysburg could not have been made the way it was made without the reenactors. In the 15 years it took to make the movie, the approach that I thought we had to follow when I started in the early 80s was to go to Eastern Europe and rent an army, because that's how Waterloo was made by Dino De Laurentiis. It was made in the Ukraine, I think. So I went to Poland and I went to Hungary in the 80s to see if we could rent an army to get thousands and thousands of soldiers. It was just impractical to do it in the United States. By the late 80s, after I'd been working on this project for a while, two things happened in about the same time. One was the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the collapse of the Berlin Wall in '89. So any idea of working with hire an army in Eastern Europe went right out the window. The other thing that happened, luckily for us, was the emergence of the reenactor movement. Reenactors do all sorts of wars. They do 1812, French and Indian War, American Revolution, but the biggest number of reenactors then and now is the American Civil War. And you have reenactors who do Yankees and reenactors who do Confederates, and some what they call galvanized. They go both ways. And they build their own uniforms. They're not called costumes, they're called impressions. And they're meticulously accurate to the regiment, to the time, to the state, to the unit. So in fact, a reenactor is a living Civil War historian. They really know not just about their regiment, but about the character that they portray. And as I say, some do Yankees and Confederates both. They'll do infantry, they'll do cavalry. The cavalry guys have their own horses. The artillery guys pool their resources and build their own cannons. These are expensive endeavors. You can imagine the commitment to this hobby. And their wives and girlfriends are involved too.
Yep.
So then they also have they call the impressions, the dresses, the skirts, the hoops, the hairdressings of what the Civil War would have looked like. So in addition to the battle reenactments, they'll do balls and civilian reenactments and medical reenactments. There's a whole range of things. It's a whole interesting subculture in American life, and it's across the whole country. So we were finally able to take advantage of this in the late 80s, early 90s when we were planning to do this movie. And on the day, we recruited in Pickett's charge, there are 5,500 guys. It's not CGI. There's no CGI in Pickett's charge. That's 5,500 guys, which we had for a week. Took us 6 days to film just Pickett's charge. And the beauty of these guys is that unlike CGI, when you see like masses of people moving around, I can move the camera in anywhere, any place, any time, and you're in 1862. Because it's not just that they have the uniforms, they're thinking 1862, 1863. They're there. And if you don't believe me, and I know you do, but if somebody's not believing what I'm saying, here's what happened. One day on the set, during that week, the early part of the week when we were filming Pickett's Charge, the troops coming out of the trees in formation. Yes. That was the only actors we had that day were Armistead, Kemper, and Garnett. Those
right.
three actors, because those are the division commanders. No other actors were on the set. They were all reenactors. It was hot. It was humid. July day in Gettysburg. On the battlefield, on the actual field where Pickett's Charge.
Never been done before.
Never been done before, and it was so hot. And the crew was running out with the Gatorade, trying to keep these guys, hydrated. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if we can get Marty Sheen to suit up? It was his day off.
Yes.
Suit up and come out on Traveler, his horse.
As General Robert E. Lee, who he played in the movie.
Just to be do a favor to the reenactors, give them a little boost. So I asked Marty. He could have said, I'm busy, I'm doing that. He said, fine. And that's a big deal. That's like 2 hours in makeup with the wig and everything before he could come out. Great guy. And so we're filming. It was the afternoon. And he comes riding out on Traveler, and we're lining up a shot. And spontaneously, at that particular day, we had like 2,000 guys. They just started cheering, Lee. Lee. It's like I got a hold of the case when I was on the cameraman. I said, roll. I said, tail sticks. And, instead of at the front, you do it at the end.
Right.
And they had to get the paper cups, and the crew's running around. And they got roll. And the rolling sound. And we captured this event. It was what in the 60s we called a happening.
Yes.
It was uncanny.
Right. Because they were in character. That's what would have happened.
That's what would have happened. And Marty was deeply moved. I mean, he realized in that moment he wasn't Martin Sheen. They weren't there because he was Marty Sheen, the celebrity. They were there because he was Robert E. Lee.
Right.
And we rolled. Luckily, we had a whole magazine in, because this is before digital. This is motion picture film. And we rolled. It wouldn't stop. And so we rolled out for like almost 10 minutes. And Case is motioning to me like there's no film left. So we didn't even get tail sticks. We have to sync it up later. We stopped. And we said, okay, changing the schedule. What we had on that schedule for the remainder of the day, we'll move it later on. We have now a new scene in the movie.
Yes.
And we just, we blocked out, we then covered that scene. So we redid that with different camera angles for the rest of the afternoon. And that, I think, is one of the most powerful scenes in the movie. And it was a scene that was not in the script. And it's a testament that could never have happened, with all due respect, with professional extras. It would never have happened with a hire of the army, a rent an army. It could only have happened because of those reenactors.